Well, welcome to your journey. I'm the host, Chuck Lewis, and we got a special guest with us here today, Gabriel Kiki Gonzalez. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me, Chuck.
Appreciate you coming on, man. So right now we in this pandemic, this COVID-19 that we're all dealing with. How are you and your family doing right now?
Man, tough times, man. This thing is surreal. I feel like, man, we in a video game, man, like Resident Evil, man. Man, it's like you can't make this thing up. Pretty scary, man. I actually lost my grandmother, man. We wasn't pretty close, but at the end of the day, man, you don't want anybody to pass away. Actually, I'm from the East Coast, man, Elizabeth, New Jersey. A lot of people has passed away that I've actually known and grew up with. Actually in the projects, man. Pretty close to New York City, man. 15, 20 minutes away from New York City, and man, the hospitals, man, are pretty bad. My family, actually, I have an uncle in the hospital right now who's going through COVID. He's recovering pretty okay, pretty decent, man. But he's feeling the effects of it. But again, man, the hospitals are renting out warehouses, man, where they have to store bodies of people that passed away, and man, it's just surreal, surreal. So people that I've actually known and grown up at have passed away, and their body are stored, and actually have to wait to have a funeral service a month down the road and be placed in the cemetery, man. So it's pretty scary, man.
Yeah, I think the times that we in right now are just unprecedented.
Yeah.
No one's experienced this before. And number one, sorry to hear about the losses that you have taken.
Yeah.
During this time to lose someone with this pandemic that's going on, but then also at the same time to not be able to pay your last respects
Exactly.
the right way is tough. So my prayers go to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man. And we just got to continue to keep moving forward and trying to do best that we can, being wise during this time and just trying to be as supportive as we can to our family members that are away from us in other states.
For sure.
So speaking about Elizabeth, New Jersey, you touched on it a little bit, but what was it like growing up as a kid in Elizabeth, New Jersey?
Man, it was tough, man. I'm Cuban, Cuban American, man. I was actually out of the 5 siblings. Actually, we have 6 siblings. One brother on my dad's side, who's the oldest. He actually lives in Switzerland right now, man. He migrated and escaped. Met a Asian lady who was in the Navy base in Cuba, and met her and snuck in the Navy base, and again just transitioned via the Navy all the way to Switzerland, and been living out in Switzerland for about 10 years now. But on my dad's side, man, but 5 siblings that my mom and dad had in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I was the first one, middle child, that was born in Elizabeth, New Jersey, man. But man, it was tough, man. We were born and raised in the projects. Man, we was the minorities, man. We black, man. But it's 99% of the projects, man, is mainly African Americans. But man, although we're African American, dark skin, but we were definitely the minorities, man, because we didn't speak the English language. And we were picked on, man. We were bullied, and it was a tough task, man, going outside every day and having to fight, man, going to school, being bullied. We didn't speak the language, and we had to persevere, man. And my parents, man, they were picked on as well. And that was in the 80s, man, when my parents migrated from Cuba on boats and rafts, back in the 1980 Castro regime, when he set Cubans free on the waters, man. Pretty sure you guys know about the Scarface movie. That was actually my parents, man. I have a lot of family, and the only thing we knew was to work the factory jobs. A lot of the African Americans, man. Everybody was related. Everybody was related, man, in those areas, and again, it was so foreign to us. We didn't know really the resources to actually tap into, to seek help. So man, it was just trial and error. Of course, we kind of understood the welfare system once, we had to, gravitate towards the project system, and then kind of understood how to, use the coupons and how to, gain revenue in the sense of, get the food stamps and so on and so forth. But then, once we went through the bumps and bruises, man, and then, living in the projects and going to the schools and, understanding, learning the English vernacular, man, father going to jail, brothers going to jail, man, they didn't want that type of lifestyle for me and my little brother, so again, man, I was able to escape a lot of those, harsh lifestyles, man, so, I really, really lucked up, man. So I was able to, follow, the dreams that my brother and my dad wanted to live in the sense of like playing sports and, pursuing education.
So to kind of touch a little bit more on that, well, number one, I think one of the things I think that is key is perseverance.
Yes.
Your parents to be able to come, and I don't think people understand that transition.
Man.
Talk about it a little bit, but they get to the U.S. and then there's a language barrier.
Exactly.
Right? And so when you talk about trying to find work and you talk about trying to live the American dream,
exactly,
it's tough. And so I can only imagine what that feels like, because you come here and you're completely lost, and then you had so much anxiety, so much pressure in trying to escape and get to somewhere better. And then to come to a place where you are by yourself because you can't really even communicate the proper way. Just to kind of touch a little bit more on that. You talked about getting a chance to live out your dad's dream and your brother's dreams. You talked about sports, and obviously we know you're an athlete. You played at the Division I level and even at the NFL level as well. At what age did you start playing sports, and what attracted you playing sports?
You know what? Coming back. Wait, let me go back to that. Let me go back to, for real. And I think you touched on something that was key, man. The language barriers. And just that migration. Thinking about my mom, man, we always like talk about the strongest person in the family. You think about Castro and how he just, talk about resilience and perseverance, man. My mom was 17 years old with 2 kids.
Right.
And, when we talk about, we all migrated from Cuba, man, my mom, 17-year-old with 2 kids, couldn't be on the same boat with my dad. He separated family members. You know what I'm saying? So imagine 17-year-old, 2 kids. Hey man, when you're on one boat or raft and you you had to be separated from your loved one, man, you don't know if a shark gonna eat, your significant other, you know what I mean? And being placed on a boat with an asylum, you didn't even know the person was on, asylum was on a boat with you, who was heavily heavily medicated, and then you in the middle of the sea, person wakes up, man, crazy, and then attacking people. Or people just wake up after being heavily sedated, wakes up jumping off the boat, man, you know what I'm saying, and attacking people. But it was man, it was surreal, based off the story my mom and them telling us, man. And again, man, it was man, I can't believe my parents made it, man. You know what I mean? It was just so many people have committed suicide because they didn't think, man, so many sharks and trailing the boats, man, and knocking rafts over, man, and just trying to eat people, man. It was wow, man, I can't believe I'm alive today because, man, they made a choice to pursue America for a better life. Right. You know what I mean? Escaping the third world poverty country, But yeah, man, like I said, I'm glad I'm alive today. Thank God my parents made the greatest sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So, and my dad has always been an athlete, man. Always, had picked up a ball, and tossed it around with us. And not, Cuba, man, they didn't have a football per se, man. It was always baseball. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think visually, man, my brothers, coming to the United States and growing up, and again, start to immerse themselves in America, you start to kind of, in gym, you play football, you play baseball, you play dodgeball, you start to become familiar a little bit, and then the projects, of course, man, how innovative could you be, man? You know what I'm saying? You see in everything. So that's how I became a little bit more familiar in a sense, seeing my older brothers play football. And, man, I wanted to be like them. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I become, again, or that's how I started to gravitate towards the sports. I was always the bigger kid, you know what I'm saying? And growing up, Chuck, just like you, man, we were the big guys, man. But you know what? We was so skilled, man. growing up in the projects, man, big guys are not blocking. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, you're playing wide receiver just like me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, you're playing quarterback just like me. You got to guard, you know what, the fast guy. You know what I'm saying? There's no limitations, you know, for guys like us, man. You're either going to go out there and do the best you could do, or you're going to get embarrassed. You know, so that's how I was able to like really gravitate towards the sports and try to be the best I can be, and become as athletic as I can be, because man, is either you go out there, show out, or get shown on. You know what I mean? So
touch on that too. So your style of play, and we'll get a little bit more into detail into that later, but your style was more around the mindset of I'm an athlete that plays defensive line.
that's right.
I'm an athlete that plays basketball. I'm an athlete that plays football. And you were way before your time. If you think about it now, your style, you know, obviously you were a physical player, but at the same time, you had a lot of finesse to your game.
Yes.
That's why they gave you the nickname Cadillac, you know,
Yeah.
you had style to your game. And so back then in that early 2000 or late 90s time, sometimes that was even frowned upon when you were big, because
Yeah.
it was like, hey, you're supposed to be a big bruiser. You're supposed to be going out there and being physical. But you were a guy that was a little different. I was a guy that was a little different. And back in those times, that wasn't celebrated like it is now. You look at a guy like Chase Young, he is an athlete that plays defensive end, you know, and so that's good to hear, you know, and that's one of the reasons why we was able to connect. So let's transition into that. So you go to Elizabeth High School. Talk to me about that experience just from a schooling standpoint, and then we'll get into the sports part of it.
Okay, so middle school, like, let's start with middle school. Middle school, I played quarterback. Like, actually, in little, like, Pop Warner, man, I weighed too much. Like, fifth grade, man, I weighed 171 pounds. Like, you know what I'm saying? Man, they said, hey, man, you can't play here. I was like, man, I'm playing quarterback. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, well, one, you can't play at all, you know, because you weigh too much. Two, you sure as heck can't play quarterback. But I'm like, yo, I can do that. I can do it. Like, I do it all the time. I play street ball. And everybody vouched for me, but it's like, yo, you just can't do it. So middle school, I played middle school. And man, I'm pretty sure I'm like 200 pounds, man, sixth grade. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm playing quarterback. I start quarterback, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. Man, by the time I graduate, I mean, I'm averaging, you know, 10 touchdown passes. You know what I'm saying? Probably like 3 or 4 touchdown rushing yards. I mean, rushing touchdowns, you know, in a season, you know what I'm saying? Every season, you know, literally, at quarterback and playing D-line,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, on defense. So I'm playing, you know, two-way.
Yeah.
And then I get
– in a different way, though, too, because most guys are receiver,
exactly.
DB, you know,
And DB.
running back, safety, you know,
Exactly.
quarterback, linebacker, but quarterback and defensive line, I mean, those are two different sides of the spectrum.
Exactly. So then I get to high school, right? Hey, freshman year, they're like, hey, man, you gonna play guard? I'm like, man, I'm not playing guard. I just played quarterback all my life, like all middle school. Like, I'm not playing. Man, they try to give me like a Dick Buckets helmet. I'm like, I'm not. Man, I'm not wearing this. Like, and I just quit. I'm like, man, I'm not playing. And, you know, everybody like, man, that's Kiki. You know, Kiki. Like, I'm like, man, I'm not playing. They're like, come on, Kiki, just play, man, just play defense. And I'm like, dude, I'm not playing. Like, if I'm not playing quarterback, that's my heart, man. Dan Marino is my favorite athlete of all time. Like, I love Dan Marino, you know. And man, I just, you know what, man, I felt like, man, if I can't play quarterback, man, I'm not gonna play, man. I was an athlete. I feel like they were just taking the love of the game from me, man. And you know what, my brothers wasn't around, man. They was incarcerated, man. I had nobody to, you know, really had to have that talk with me, man. My dad didn't really understand, man, because he didn't understand the game of football. He only understood baseball. And he always like tried to push me to baseball, but I really didn't have the love for the sport of baseball, you know. So that year, man, you know, I really just I gravitated towards the streets. Like, you know, is what my brothers was locked up, man. My friends were in the streets.
Was this
My freshman year?
Freshman year, yeah.
My freshman year. So I was just like, man, you know what? I was doing what my other friends were doing, man. Was cutting class, and you know, everybody, it was street boy. I was living in the projects, right? So I was like, dang, man, I felt like this wasn't for me, man.
Right.
Sure enough, man. the head coach was like, hey, man, you need to come back out and play football. You want to play outside linebacker. I'll give you a crack at quarterback, but I don't know if you're going to start. Right. I was like, man, look, I just want a chance, man. So sure enough, man, I played tight end, and then I did get a crack at quarterback again, but they did have a better quarterback, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, I just wanted a chance. But sure enough, a package here and there, man, I was playing quarterback. So sure, like I said, man, it was like I found love for the sport, man. I was an athlete. They recognized that, man. I played tight end. I started tight end. You know, I was that slot receiver. You know, I played fullback sometime, man. And then, like I said, I was an outside linebacker. And then from my junior year and on, I started DN.
Yeah, no, that's big, man. I think that story in itself right there, I mean, to be able to play all those positions, you know, so at the time you were probably weighing about, what, 270 once you were like in the high school? Like
yeah, 270 to 280. 270 to 280.
I mean, that was rare, definitely on the East Coast. I mean, maybe there was a couple guys maybe in Florida, California, maybe doing that, but it was very rare. I mean, so to be able to do all the different things that you were able to do, and you pretty much figured it out, a lot of it on your own and playing out in the projects like you talked about before. So you did a lot on the football field, but you also played another sport, right? And so can you talk a little about your experience with track and field? You know, so from doing my research, I've seen that you were all-state in track and field as well as an all-state football player. Talk a little bit about like how you got involved with track and how that was able to go with you also playing football there at Elizabeth.
So track and field, my junior year, you know how coaches are, man. They, you know, the offensive line, the defensive line. I mean, actually, the defensive line coach was like, "Hey, man, I think you'll be a good shot put and discus thrower." And I'm like, man, I never heard of that event ever in life. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought I had to run. I'm like, man, track and field, man. You know, I don't like running. Like, I'm not running. You know, the boy was always scared of running. Like, you know, I was an athlete, but I was like scared of running, dog. Like, you know, but I was like, nah. I'm not doing track, like, you know. But they're like, no, it's a throws event, like, and I'm like, they're like, dude, you play quarterback. I'm pretty sure you could do well in the javelin, and shot put and discus. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll come out. So man, what happened, man? I came out. I wasn't really good in the beginning, man. I think the first 3 meets, it was all technical, man. You know, it's something you really have to like immerse yourself into, like. And I was like, wow. You know, I had to like really study like the craft, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, went and practiced, man. And next thing you know, man, by the time like the county meet came, man, I was like ranked, you know, top 5 in the county, you know, and the county is big, man. It was big in New Jersey, the Union County. So I was like, all right, cool, man. By the time the season ended, man, I won the county, you know, and I was throwing my shot put. I was a 47-foot thrower.
Wow.
In the county. Yeah, like, mind you, the first time I ever threw the shot put, man, I was a 27-foot thrower. Mm. And then the discus, I was let me see, discus, I was a 130-foot thrower. I finished the season 165-foot thrower. Yeah, so I was like, wow, man, I went to states and everything in the discus. So I was like, man, that's pretty cool, right?
It is.
Really didn't understand, man. Javelin, I was horrible, though. Javelin, I was like, I couldn't do it. I was like, I really just couldn't grasp the concept, man. But, man, the following year, because I was ranked in the state. Man, the following year, my senior year, man, I became All-American. And the shot put, man, my PR was 60 feet in the shot put, All-American. You know what I'm saying? I went to North Carolina, where I actually placed top 10 in the country. You know, I threw a 59. I threw 58 feet. You know, but I didn't like the shot put, but it was pretty good. That was pretty good. But Jersey had 3 60-foot shot put throwers.
Wow.
No, yeah, Jersey was big. Wow. Yeah, Jersey was really, really big, man. But I was, you know, I think I got the best throw in New Jersey, in Elizabeth High School history. And for discus, I was actually 3rd in the country that year in high school. I threw a 200 feet, 1 inch discus throw. And I was actually leading going in to the finals in the discus throw. And I actually had the furthest throw in Elizabeth High School history.
Wow.
So, and actually top 10 throw in New Jersey history.
So to even touch on that right there. So as I've done my research, so not only were you an All-American in track and field, and you just started it really. I mean, you had only
just started 2 years.
2 years. But also in football, going into your senior year, you were ranked 59th out of the strong side defensive ends in the country as well. So what did that feel like? So you're a guy coming from the projects, inner city, New Jersey. You're 20 minutes away from New York. Your parents came over from Cuba, a language barrier. There were so many odds against you. And then you wind up going into your senior year and you're an All-American pretty much in 2 sports, and you can kind of pick what sport you want to go to college in.
Mm-hmm.
What did that feel like to be nationally ranked, coming from Elizabeth, coming from 2 parents that didn't play sports as far as from the American standpoint? I know your dad played baseball and everything like that back in Cuba. But what did that feel like with all that you were going through? How did you feel?
It was I was elated, man. It was ecstatic, man. But the thing was, man, I it was like the first of many. Like I didn't understand like what it really meant. Like I understand what it meant like in the neighborhood, because everybody cousin was something. Like, you know, everybody friend was something. You know, it was all about, but my family, we didn't have anybody. Like I was the first of everything, you know. I was the first high school graduate. I was the first to go to college. I was the first to ever go to the league. I was the first to ever receive a college letter, you know. So, you know, I was a trendsetter, man, you know, and I love that you know, I broke the generational cycle, you know, but I just didn't know. Like I really didn't have anybody to share it with per se, you know.
So you talk a little bit about breaking the cycle. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize when you're coming from a situation like yourself, where there's so many odds against you and you're coming into a situation where you're trying to survive. So when you're in survival mode, you're just trying to find work the fastest way possible, whatever that is, whether that's legal or illegal, right?
Yes.
And so breaking the cycle and starting something different. So to transition a little bit more into that in detail. So the first one to go to college, right? You commit to the University of Akron. Tell me why you committed to Akron and what other schools were looking at you.
So I actually was committing to the University of Maryland. And it was between Maryland and West Virginia. It was two big schools, and was going to play fullback. What happened was my best friend and I, Curtis Laser, was scheduled to go take the SAT at Irvington High School. Well, what happened was the test got rescheduled at another school in Roselle Catholic High School. We didn't receive the letter in the mail, or we probably didn't even check the mail, or something got mixed up. My coach was not made aware of the change, so we kind of missed out on that on test day. So the University of Akron, UConn, and Rutgers decided that, hey man, you know, we'll prop this guy. We'll prop 48 this guy. UConn and Rutgers, I felt like, man, they were too close. I kind of wanted to get away. Chose the University of Akron, man. I took the visit. And also Jason Taylor was one of my favorite defensive players ever. Like, you know, I love Jason Taylor. But I felt like Ohio, man, I was getting away, man. I feel like I didn't want to be close to home. I knew if I was close to home, guess what, man? I wasn't going to make it. And I didn't know much about Ohio, man. I never really traveled much outside of like New Jersey, New York, really. So I took the trip, man, and I was recruited by a guy by the name of Greg Gillum. And Luke Fickle actually was the defensive line coach at the time, who was the head coach over there at Cincinnati.
Shout out to Coach Fickle too, man. I mean, those guys made a lot of impact in the people's lives. Akron, yourself, myself, and
for sure
why we went to the University of Akron.
For sure, man. So what wound up happening, man? I took the trip, man, and they treated me, man, with utmost respect, man. Loved me, really treated me like they wanted me there, man. So I was like, man, I think the University of Akron is just the place where I want to be. So I decided to do it, man. Even though I knew I was Prop 48, and man, I didn't want to go to a JUCO. You know, and it was a JUCO actually out in Utah that I was gonna commit to if I didn't, you know, attend the University of Akron. Because I didn't want to go to Rutgers. I did not want to go to Rutgers. I didn't want to go to UConn. UConn was just now becoming a Division I school at the time, 2002. But I was like, nah, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. So yeah, I chose Akron, man, and that's the reason. That's the reason, man.
Yeah. So just to touch a little bit more about that. So you leave Elizabeth, New Jersey. You choose Akron. You go to Akron. And so talk about that first year, just transitioning, being was about 6 hours away from New Jersey.
Yeah,
7 hours.
6.5, 7 hours. Yeah.
How was that transition in that first year, just adapting to college life, and just adapting to school?
Yeah. I lost my mind a little bit, man. It was, you know, it was too slow. You know, again, man, it was fast-paced environment, man. I come from a school, high school and environment, man. High school, man, like 5,000 students, man. Big city, man. Big city, faster pace. Come to Akron, Ohio, man. It's slow. Idle mind, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not playing football, you know. I'm actually staying with the guy, one of my best friends, man, Zach Williams. He was an incoming freshman as well. Guy Bobby Gardner, Jason, actually Jesse Smith, and Brad Sheldon, and Aaron Conley as well. So, but those guys are practicing, you know, and I'm just there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just Prop 48, can't really participate, man, and I'm just chilling, eating, you know what I'm saying, waiting for school to start.
Right.
You know, and then when school start, I'm just going to class, partying, you know what I'm saying? Actually didn't even go to class most of the time, you know what I'm saying? And then I started becoming homesick, had a girlfriend, you know, and I'm like, oh man, I'm ready to go back home, you know? So what I wound up doing was, man, go to class Monday through Wednesday night, hit the Greyhound, go back home to New Jersey, man. You know, 16-hour drive on the Greyhound back home to New Jersey. Mom looking at me like, what are you doing here? Like, you know, and I was like, oh, I just, you know, we on break, you know, lying to my mom. Like, are we on break? Like, man, we just dropped you off at the airport. You know, how you here? But you know, I was homesick, man, and I didn't have nothing to do, man, and I was really making a poor choice, man, not taking school serious. Didn't understand, man. I didn't have any guidance. I was alone, and I got connected with a guy by the name of Jim Shawnover, who we call Jim Jones. You know, we gave him the rapper name.
Jim Jones. We got to give him a shout out.
That's right.
Has made so much of an impact in so many lives, so many student athletes.
That's right.
Of Akron. Has been in the Akron area for years, so we want to make sure we shout him out and pay our respects to him. And you know, the purpose of the show too is just to give people their crown while they're alive. You know,
exactly.
Hours. You know, for me, you know, give people their crown while they're here. You know, it's one of the reasons why we're talking to Mr. Gabriel Gonzalez, but also we want to make sure that we shout out those who paved the way and gave guys like us an opportunity.
Yeah. So yeah, Jim, I got connected. I think Greg Gillum and Leon was connecting me with a guy by the name of Jim Shawnover. Again, who we call Jim Jones, who's actually, man, my best friend, you know, who I talk to weekly, if not bi-weekly, to this day, you know. Now what, 17 years, man. Friendship for 17 years. Guy took care of me, been tutoring me. You know, he's a family member, man. He's a family member, and he took me under his wing. Man, met me at my dorm on Saturdays, man, tutored me to death. And actually, man, and helped me make a better choice, man, to stop going back home to New Jersey, start taking education seriously. And after I suffered that first semester in college, because I was actually going to flunk out of school. That second semester, man, we got together and turned things around. And since then, man, I never looked back. And I was in study table faithfully. Room with a guy like you, Chuck Lou, you know, room with a guy like Chuck, man, who was all about, you know what, it was all about football, man, but room with a guy like Chuck, man, and guys like, connected with guys like Jason Montgomery, Vince Vaughn, Devanzo Tate, man, and those guys were all about, man, look, we all about football, but academically, man, we got to get that degree, and man, ain't no looking back, man. That was our goal at the end of the day.
Well, I think it's too, well, you touched on it earlier, man. A lot of us came from similar situations as yourself, not the exact same situation, but similar situations. And it was all about breaking the cycle too, and for a lot of us, sports was our way in. But once we get there, we don't have no excuse, and so it's all about connecting with the right people, man. And for the information that you can't get from your parents, because, my parents didn't go to college, your parents didn't go to college, but being able to find guys like Jim Shonover and find other guys like Jason Montgomery or Devanzo Tate or other students and peers that we connect with that help us get the answers that we need, or just be someone that we can relate to. So as we transition through your college career, so, your first year was a transition, but after that, you transitioned very well from a football standpoint. So it was a 3-year starter there at the University of Akron. And actually in your junior year, got a chance to make history at the school.
Yes.
School's first ever MAC championship. So talk about what that was like. You go from your freshman year going home every other week or every week in your first semester. Then you were able to transition academically. But then you get to your junior year and you help make history at the school from an athletic standpoint, and you're doing well academically. Talk about, what did that feel like to be on center stage and to make history for a school at the University of Akron?
Man, it felt great, man, because as you know, you were there with me, man. One of my best friends, man. You were there when they counted me out. The coaches. New coaching staff came in. Actually, the old coaching staff. Some of the coaches counted me out. I'm not gonna drop names. But some of the coaches, told me, "Hey, man, you're never gonna make it." I know I struggled a little bit, but hey, man, you're never gonna make it. Hey, man, thank you. I actually told the coach, "Hey, thank you, man. I'm gonna prove you wrong."
Right.
Because I'm not going back to New Jersey, man. And that was just a fuel, man. That was just a fuel, to me accomplishing my goals, man, and me, becoming a college graduate twice, what I'm saying, and becoming a professional who, right now, and serving, the under served population, what I'm saying. But nonetheless, man, proving that coaching staff wrong, and then coming, having a new coaching staff who, try to weed out those athletes who they felt that wasn't fully committed, and I was one of those kids, man, or those athletes who they felt like, man, wasn't really giving their all, and then coming, being at the bottom of the depth chart, and man, having to prove myself again that, man, I was the guy, bottom, I was fifth, fourth or fifth on the depth chart.
I remember that.
Then, yeah, man. So I was like, man, prove those guys wrong, man, and went all the way up to the starting, depth chart, and then, becoming the guy, who's, playing Penn State, and from there on out, man, leading these guys to the MAC championship, man, it felt great, man, because again, man, I know what I could bring to the table, but I think 50 Cent said it best, man. He was like, I don't say only God could judge me because I see things clear. Quick, they could give me but 100 years. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I'm not going to just, constantly just say like, God, God, I'm going to let you handle it. God, nah, I'm going to play my cards right at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to play my cards right, at the end of the day. But I know that I have the ability, but at the same time, I got to be smart on how I choose to do things.
Right. So, like, talk a little bit more into detail about what was actually going on, too, back home. So, like, here you are doing these great things here at the University of Akron, whether it's in the classroom or on the field. Your team won a championship, never been done before. But you also had some other things going on back at home. Like, talk about some of the things that you were dealing with in the midst of you still being successful. You're going home on breaks and things of that nature. I think you talked about earlier that your your dad and your brothers were incarcerated. So
Incarcerated.
not like trying to manage all that. I mean, it seems like at this point you're the leader of the family.
Yeah.
So you're managing things 7 hours away
Yeah.
from an academic standpoint, from an athletic standpoint. But talk about some of the things that were on your shoulders, man, during that time.
Yeah, I mean, because, we used to have guys, man, go on spring break and, winter break, and they used to go take vacation, get their scholarship checks, and, they used to buy, gear, sneakers and stuff like that, man. We used to send it home. I used to send it home and help with, assist with bills and stuff like that, you used to go home and spend time with family. You know what I'm saying? That was my vacation. Go home, on winter break or spring break and go visit, multiple prisons. In a 4 or 5 week span. My vacation was totally different, man. And I don't regret it, but at the end of the day, it was like, dang, I never knew what a spring break felt like. But my mom, like I said, my mom never asked for money, man. But I know. I know what I had to do as a man, because I was only going home, 4 or 5 times a year. And then if this is what I could do to assist, man, well, so be it, man. It was well worth it, and like I said, it was tough, man. I still have my 2 younger brothers at home. They were working, and one little brother at school. But at the end of the day, I'm the oldest. Like, I've been doing this, kind of being the head of the household a little bit. Since I was 10 years old, because my dad and my brothers were always in and out of jail, since I was 9. It was always at least 2 of the 3 that were incarcerated, due to the streets, you know what I'm saying? So, but again, it's just tough deal, man. Tough deal.
Well, no, I mean, obviously you were able to overcome that adversity that you were dealing with. And I think you talked a little bit about it earlier, talking about some of the individuals that were there that maybe didn't believe in you or question things. And sometimes it's about getting to know what people are dealing with outside of
exactly
and their sport. And so I think if people would have knew a little bit more about what you were dealing with, that might have helped them to have a better understanding of what type of kid they were getting. But outside of that, you were able to transition. So you actually were able to graduate from the University of Akron with all that you were dealing with. You got your degree in business organizational communication. What did it feel like to walk across your stage and get your degree? Did your family get a chance to come? Did anyone, your family members, get a chance to actually come to that?
They did, man. I tell you what. 2 of the biggest highlights of my college career came in that 2005 season. Penn State game and my graduation year, when my siblings were out of jail and they came to that Penn State game. And I'll never forget, it was a whiteout.
Yeah.
And in that whiteout, far left corner towards the end zone where the Zips were coming out of the tunnel, I get to see my dad, that was the first college game he ever attended, along with my mom and my siblings and my friends from back home. And then my mom and my dad and my siblings, Jim Jones, his wife, all right, and who else? My mom and dad, my siblings, Jim Jones and his wife, all attended my graduation, man. Yeah. Those are my 2 biggest highlights, man.
Well, that's huge. I mean, I think, man, being able to graduate from college, especially from an institution like the University of Akron, one of the top institutions in our country, to do that with all that was on your shoulders, and then for it all to kind of come together at the right time, where everybody was able to be there for those significant moments is huge. So you graduate, you win a championship at the University of Akron. So your work at the University of Akron is done. And so the NFL draft comes up. Okay. And so you were a guy that was projected to get drafted. So you sat through the draft and your name doesn't get called. Talk about what that felt like going through that experience. You were a guy that was projected to get drafted. You were a guy that was a big time football player at the collegiate level, had checked all the boxes, right? But here we go again with you going through the process of the draft. What did it feel like to go through that whole process and then you don't get your name called and don't get your phone buzzed? How'd you deal with that?
here we go again. Like, that's how it felt. I was actually with the mother of my child at the time, in my apartment here in Akron. I was talking to my agent. It was um, we were talking anywhere the high of sixth round, anywhere late seventh round. Um, but we felt pretty good about it. We knew we'd probably get a free agent deal. But we didn't get anything. And we were shocked, man. I'm like, I think going into my senior year, man, ranked 17th D tackle in the nation, you know, mid-major school. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. It's, I was excited, man. I was like, wow, man, I know I played against some of the top competition, man. And I felt like, especially when we played against top competition, I really showed out. But then I was like, you know what? That's okay, because when I get that opportunity, I'm gonna prove myself. I'm gonna prove myself. So, and that opportunity came with the Kansas City Chiefs. I know I got a call from Kansas City Chiefs. I got a call from the Buffalo Bills, and they wanted to bring me in. And I told my agent, who was Angelo Wright at the time. Actually, his name was Milton Wright, but call him Angelo. And actually, that connection came through Romeo Travis. So Romeo Travis hit me up and actually said, "Hey, man, I know a guy. You want to get in contact with you?" So I was like, "All right, cool, man." And we made that connection, and then I went to Kansas City. Went to Kansas City and worked out. And it was actually like they OTAs, man. And I fly out there, man, and I killed this OTA. And I'm like, they were like, hey, we'll let you know. I flies out to go back home to Akron. I land in, I want to say, was it Missouri? And turn my phone on. They're like, hey, my agent said, hey, they want to sign you. They're gonna send you, they're gonna put you on a plane the next day, bring you back. So I'm like, all right, cool, it's on. But what about Buffalo? He's like, man, you crazy? We need to take what we got right now. So I was like, man, but I think I want to go try Buffalo out too. He was like, nah, you got to take this. So I was like, all right. But that was, his best friend was Ray Farmer. I think we made that connection. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's do Kansas City. So, I went to Kansas City, man, and I think I got there, man. I think I did my best, man. I think it was they had draft picks, Tank Tyler, Turk McBride, and I think I did really well, man. I think I did really well, and I got compliments, man, from Gunther Cunningham. Never forget Ty Law bigging me up in the meetings. Gunther Cunningham praised me. Actually, kudos to Terrell Williams, who is the coach right now for the Titans, who pushed me to play tired and run after the ball, man, because that was one of the compliments that I got from Gunther Cunningham for running down the field, man, in practice and and in the games, man. But that was one of the compliments, man, that Gunther Cunningham gave me in Ty Law. So,
just touch a little bit more onto that too. So you got a chance to experience that and go through that whirlwind of draft day, and then you finally get your opportunity. Talk about what that experience was like for maybe those who might tune into this and watch that aspire to be in the same shoes as you. What was the experience like going from playing college ball to playing professional ball, and what are the differences between the two? And as a whole, just what was your experience like being with Kansas City and Herm Edwards and those guys?
Man, it was fun, man, but it was stressful. It was no joke, man. You day to day, man. It was business. It was big business, and it was it was scary. You see guys get cut. You'll see a guy one practice, the next day you won't see a guy. It was you'll see guaranteed contracts and they won't even mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? It was I see why guys durability is key, man. You see a guy like LeBron really take care of his body, man. Because I see guys didn't really take care of themselves. I see guys cramp up, man, and be cut, from the team, But it was serious, man. It was serious, and not everybody really makes it, beyond 2 years like that. The average time spent in that NFL for the norm was like about 2 years or 3 years, But no, man, you got some special guys there. You got some special guys there, and it was tough to make it. Do I think I could have still played? Heck yeah. I think I really did some good things there, man. I think it's always just a situational thing, man. I think it's always a situational thing. I think guys really just have to, stay the course, man, and constantly believe that they can just, land in the right situation, and when you do, man, you just gotta, get a hold of it and don't let go,
Yeah, so you get an opportunity with the Chiefs. You get an opportunity there. You were there for around a year's time, and then you transition back, right? And so you transition back and start getting involved in education, but you also transition back into school.
Yes.
To pursue your master's.
Mm-hmm.
What made you go back?
You know what? When we're in school, man, we just want to be done. We don't. We just want to be so done, and we feel like, man, we don't ever want to go back, and this is not just, it's just exacerbated from it. It's just, but that's our calling in retrospect, man. To be honest, that's the golden ticket. To be quite honest, like everything that we need in life, man, has everything to do with school. Like, if we want to serve the people that we need to serve, then we have to go to school. We want to do the things that we need to do, that we have to go to school. We need to be better in life as a minority, especially. Like, we have those gatekeepers, like we do. And we do have to jump through so many hoops, as a minority. And gosh darn it, that's what we have to do, as a minority, in order to, even be at the, playing field, with the majority, but like I said, just to better myself, man, just to make sure I make sure I'm marketable, maybe make sure I could just sit at the round table, with anybody, man. I had to make sure I just could be, educated and have, all the material that I need, man, to just be, make sure I'm not turned away,
So you end up graduating with your master's, and so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you now currently work in education.
Yes.
So you work at East High School, and you also coach as well. Talk about what you currently do now, and what led you back into the K through 12 arena.
Okay. Man, the younger generation, and I actually work in a nonprofit. I also work for a nonprofit organization where I see, our youth, man, are facing challenging times, man. Babies raising babies, man. That's how I look at it. Babies raising babies, man. Where our parents have had an opportunity to grow, or be parented. You know what I'm saying? And so I know they don't have a chance to, raise their kids. So, here go grandma again, raising their kids. Or if grandma's not even around, guess who's raising the kids? The system. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just trying to make sure, I was fortunate enough to be raised by my mom and my dad, and that's so foreign nowadays, So, I'm in a position right now, man, where, I can provide some insight, man, to these young boys and girls, in the sense of, man, I can help you with some education. Hey, I can help you with some, with some guidance in the sense of financial stability. Again, I'm not trying to be their father, but I just feel like they need some guidance, and again, I always think about the harvest process, right? I may be the person, to be their soil. I may be the person to be the seed. I may be the person to water the soil. I may be the person to shine the light, But somewhere in that harvest process, I may be that person, But I need to make sure I'm a part of that harvest process, and I think that's what our kids need, man. And again, I I can't see, me not helping our younger generation, because if not me, then who? Because it's sad the way things are looking right now in this country.
Well, just to kind of touch on the harvest process, never heard it put like that before. It was noteworthy, so I had to write it down, because it's constantly about learning day in and day out. So I like how you put that, the harvest process, because in the midst of that, there's different parts of the process of growth, right?
Yes.
It could be the seed. You could be watering the plant as it's growing and getting where it needs to be. So there's different parts of the process. You could be at the beginning stage, or you could be at the end stage, and making sure that you're helping them get seasoned for their next destination.
Yes.
Write that down, because that was noteworthy. So
Thank you.
So you're now working in education. You're coaching as well, but you also have a family.
Yes.
You also have a family. You have a wife and 2 kids. So talk about now, 15 years later, from college, now being a father, a husband, and a professional. How do you balance life with all those things?
Yeah. So and to go back, like, I am working in education. I'm a student success coach, dean of students. Mainly working in culture and climate. I'm just passionate about, again, making sure we're helping our students, making sure we're helping our parents. We're moving towards this new wave of it's called restorative justice, restorative practice. Okay, how to talk about how to talk things through. Rather than, because we're so reactive with our issues than being proactive, right? First thing we know how to do is, the first time, every time we have an issue with someone, we know how to be like, oh, react and be defensive and punch somebody, or have an argument. No, we need to be proactive in the sense of trying to find a resolution to the conflict. You know what I'm saying? So that's my job. But that's what we do with my kid right now. Like, you need to do it with your kid too. Hey man, let's talk it through. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about our problem. Like, hey, I'm sorry that you're offended. Hey, you're scared. Like, oh, wow, it's okay to be scared, son. Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, son, did I hurt your feelings? I'm sorry that. I'm sorry, you froze, Chuck.
Yeah, froze. Yeah, we back. We back.
Okay. I was just basically saying, like, that's the new wave that we're trying to embark on, in the sense of that restorative practice, on try to talk things through, trying to be proactive and talk about our problems, and just kind of, it just, we don't want to be defensive. We don't want to be angry,
Right.
And that's what we're trying to implement nowadays in the school system. So that's my job, at the school. That's what I do with my 3-year-old. That's what I do with my daughter. That's what I kind of trying to do with my wife now, and it's tough, the woman, of course, but but all in all, man, it's just trying to be a better person and communicate effectively. And again, we may fall short, man, but at the end of the day, it's like, we're trying to be proactive and not reactive, and trying to understand another person's feelings. And that's how young men, like, guess what? Young men are not vulnerable. Right. We don't express our feelings. We're scared to. We had this thing called toxic masculinity, right? We're too tough. We can't express our emotions, man. We're dudes, man. I ain't gonna cry. Nah, you should be able to. I should be able to tell you, like, man, Chuck, man, your comment, man, it hurt my feelings, man. Like, that wasn't cool. and you should be able to say, "Yo, Keith, man, my bad. I didn't see it like that.
Right.
I'll think about that next time. My fault, man." And that's how we're trying to move, in the sense of the public school system. So that's my job, man. And also we're trying to get teachers and teachers, especially teachers that don't understand the urban community, man, to try to like understand like our kids and the upbringings, the community that they're coming from.
Man, I think the way you put that information right there, your background, your experiences, your accomplishments makes you the perfect guy for the job.
Thank you.
Glad to see one of Akron's finest being able to graduate from there and then stay and build the community where you graduated from.
Thank you.
I think that's huge. So we're moving into our last segment of this show. I call it the top 5 segment. So I'm going to get into some subject areas, and then you give me your top 5 in those subject areas. All right.
Cool.
So starting off with the first subject area, who are your top 5 rappers of all time?
Man, all right. Top 5. Number 1, Tupac. All right, Tupac, man. Tupac speak from the heart, man. You could feel his pain, man. You could feel his pain. Number 2, I'm gonna go Jay-Z.
Got it.
Number 3, I'm gonna go Nas. Number 4, I'm gonna go Biggie. And number 5, I'm gonna go Lloyd Banks.
Hey, I mean, well, you're looking at least 4 of those guys. You're on your Mount Rushmore of hip hop.
There you go.
Lloyd Banks.
Bias, a little bias.
No, but Lloyd Banks. I mean, lyrically,
yeah,
one of the top lyrical guys out there. And I think the good thing about Lloyd Banks, though, he stayed in his lane. He wasn't trying to be something.
Yeah.
He wasn't worried about being an A-list celebrity.
Exactly.
He was worried about being on MTV. He was making his music for the culture and the people that he grew up around. Give him something to be motivated by. So big ups to Lloyd Banks as well.
No doubt.
Second subject area is who are your top 5 NBA players of all time?
NBA players of all time. Number 1, I'm going with LeBron James.
All right.
Number 2, Penny Hardaway. Number 3, I'm going with Shaq. Number 4,
No particular order. You could just give your 5. You ain't got to be in order.
Number 4, I'm gonna go with Chris Webber. I'm tripping. Chris Webber.
Webb.
And then number 5, I didn't like him. I never liked him, man. But I'm gonna go with Jordan.
Jordan.
Yeah, I hated Jordan, man. He used to always kill us, man. I was like the Orlando Magics and the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
But Jordan used to kill us, man.
That's a good 5. I mean, you could walk up on any court in the world with them 5, and you got a shot at being in the mix to win the game with those.
Without a doubt.
That's a good 5 right there. Top 5 places you ever visited or vacation.
On vacation.
Or visited. Either one.
Or visit. Man, I always visited New York, man. New York was my, since I was a kid, man. It was always like a weekend trip. So many places in New York. So New York is number 1. It was like a second home to me. 2, man, I'm gonna go with Mexico. Mexico. I'm gonna go with Jamaica. Florida and Cali.
So I see the weather has an impact on where you visit most of the
time. Weather has an impact, man. Weather has an impact.
Well, that's cool. Well, the last one, Give me your top 5 movies of all time.
Man, you know, your boy a little soft, man. You know what I mean, when it comes to movies, man. You know, I'm
Yeah.
a chick flick guy, man. But your boy, you know, Will Smith guy, man. I like Hitch.
It's a good movie. It's a good
Hitch,
movie.
yeah, man. Because you know, your boy's a good listener. You know, so you know, I'm a charmer, man. So
You gotta take some of those tips, even though it was a movie, man. So
take some of the tips, man.
yeah,
I'm gonna say Malcolm X with your boy Denzel.
yeah, yeah.
Um, man, what's another one? Um, a chick flick. Man, I'm gonna say Drumline for real.
All right, that was a good
And
one.
then that's 3.
That's 3.
Poetic Justice.
That's a good one right there.
Man, and your boy, man, your boys don't be a menace while drinking juice in neighborhood South Central.
Hey man, you pulled that one out of left field.
Hey, I did.
That's funny right there.
Yeah.
That was funny. That was funny.
Yeah.
Nah, well, man, we at the end of the show, man. Number one, just wanted to say thanks for coming on. You know, we have been friends for many years, and for you to take time out of your day to do this, man, is well appreciated. Man, you've done amazing things. You've done great work. And you haven't even hit your prime yet. You know,
Thank you.
The objective of this show is to give people an opportunity to tell their story from their journey, and hopefully it builds inspiration from individuals that are able to view this show that we had today. And I think your story is going to help impact a lot of young people and a lot of people in general. The obstacles that you went over it was a lot. And at times it probably felt like you weren't going to be able to make it through, but you're here still standing, still going strong. And I appreciate you for sharing that story. So much love to you. Appreciate you coming on the show, bro. God bless you and your family, man. I wish you nothing but the best, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you.
No doubt, man. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to your journey. God bless, be safe, and talk to you soon.